Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So as you can tell from the title of the video, today I'm going to be basically showing you dupes that I have found for the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk collection. So if you're familiar with Charlotte Tilbury and you've been following her new launches, recently she's just launched a Pillow Talk collection. Pillow Talk is actually a shade name of a lip liner that became very famous, so then she brought out a lipstick to match the lip liner, and then she released a limited edition collection of the eyeshadow palette and a blusher to go with the lip liner and lipstick as well. And everyone went crazy for it because it is Pillow Talk, it's one of her most famous colours. It is kind of like that everyday wearable kind of pinky nude colour. But unfortunately now the collection is sold out and it was limited edition. So what I'm going to do for you in this video is actually show you some dupes that I have found for both the eyeshadow palette, the blusher, the lipstick and the lip liner. So the lip liner and lipstick are permanent from her collection, so you can get those at any time, but I am still going to be including dupes in this video for anyone who is interested. There has been rumours that they are going to be coming back in stock, but at the moment they haven't done. So I did make a video reviewing and doing sort of a first impressions of the Pillow Talk collection on my channel, and quite a lot of people were saying that they was upset that they now can't get it because it's limited edition and it's now out of stock. So this video is for those people who didn't manage to get their hands on the Pillow Talk collection but still want to get a similar sort of effect with the makeup. So yes. Right, so I'm actually going to start off by showing you the dupes that I've found for the lip liner and lipstick, just because that is a permanent collection anyway. So I'm just going to get these out of the way before we get into the palette and the blusher. And just so that you guys know how I'm going to be working this video is I'm actually going to be doing one half of my face with the dupes and the other half of my face with the actual makeup, so that you can see the difference. I haven't actually tried any of these dupes like this on my face before, where I've done one half with one and one half with the other, so apologies if they're not completely exact matches, but Charlotte Tilbury in general tends to make makeup which you can't usually find very good dupes, as in her makeup is quite unique, the formulas are quite unique, especially with the eyeshadows. So I'm not 100% sure how well the eyeshadows are going to compare to each other, if they are going to be very similar or not. They definitely look similar in the pans and you're definitely going to get a similar effect. However, in Charlotte Tilbury's palettes, her eyeshadow formulas, especially the more shimmery ones, are a very unique formula. So I'm just going to start off by saying that now. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let me just get straight on into it. So first of all, I'm just going to show you the dupe that I found for the lip liner, which is actually her most famous Pillow Talk product. So this is what the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lipstick looks like, and this is what it looks like swatched on my hand. So as you can see, it's a very sort of wearable nude pinky mauvey colour. You can kind of wear this colour with any lipstick, to be honest, but it works really well with obviously more sort of nude lipsticks. Now the dupe that I managed to find isn't exactly completely spot on, because I'm not even joking, I swatched literally every single lip liner in Boots and Superdrug and this was the closest one I could find to a perfect match, but it still is a little bit of a different tone. But this one is by NYX, so this one is £3.50, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury one is £16. So this is the NYX lip liner in nude pink. This is what it looks like. And this is what it looks like swatched. So it's actually this top one here. So as you can see, the NYX one is ever so slightly more of a coral tone, more peachy, and the actual Pillow Talk is definitely more of a kind of mauvey pink, but they are extremely similar. You wouldn't really tell too much of a difference on the lips, I don't think. Right, so let me just go ahead and apply it. I'm going to be applying the Pillow Talk on this side and then the drugstore dupes on this side. So that is what the Pillow Talk lip liner looks like on my lips. Obviously I'm going to be doing the other lip liner on the other side so you can see, but I just want to put it out there that the Pillow Talk lip liners have a very unique formula as well. They are very sort of creamy, but they're very long lasting, so I would actually recommend the Pillow Talk lip liner, like the actual one, just because this one as well, it's only £16. It's not the most expensive high-end product ever. So this is the NYX one going on now. Right, and that is what they look like together on the lip. So as you can see, as I said, the NYX one is ever so slightly lighter and the Pillow Talk is slightly more nude and mauvey, but you definitely wouldn't necessarily tell the difference when they're all over the lips. It's only when it's like this that you can really see, because you can see the kind of difference in the middle. But honestly, when you put this one all over your lips, it does look exactly the same as Pillow Talk. You can't even tell any difference at all. I will say that the NYX one was slightly more firmer in terms of actual texture. It wasn't as easy to apply and as creamy as the Charlotte Tilbury one, but obviously you can't really expect it to be exactly the same as a £16 lip liner if it's only £3.50. So yeah. So for lipsticks, I actually found two dupes for the Pillow Talk lipstick. Now one is from L'Oreal, so the L'Oreal one is around £7 or £8 I believe, and I actually found one from Makeup Revolution as well, which was £4. So depending on your budget, if you wanted to go really inexpensive, the Makeup Revolution one is obviously a lot cheaper than the L'Oreal one. But I'm going to put them up on my hand anyway so that you can see. So first of all, this is the Pillow Talk lipstick. This is what it looks like. This is the actual Charlotte Tilbury one. So that is what the actual Pillow Talk lipstick swatch is like. Obviously, as you can see, it's exactly the same colour as the lip liner. Now, starting off with the L'Oreal lipstick, this is in the shade 633 Mocha Chick, and this is what it looks like. So if I put them up together, you can see that they're pretty much identical in terms of colour. They're very, very, very similar. This is what they look like swatched next door to each other. This one here is the L'Oreal and this one is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. So as you can see, there's not much in it at all. They're pretty much identical. I would say that the L'Oreal one is just a tiny bit more pinky coral as opposed to deep like the Pillow Talk. The Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks retails for £24 as well, so it is more of a pricey lipstick. And then I did find one by Makeup Revolution, like I said, and this one actually is pretty much identical packaging to the Charlotte Tilbury one, which is what drew me to it in the first place. And then I actually saw the shade was pretty much exactly the same as well. So this is what they look like together. This is the Charlotte Tilbury and this is the Makeup Revolution. So as you can see, the packaging is almost identical. They have definitely copied Charlotte Tilbury with this. So this is what they look like together. This one is the Makeup Revolution and the other one is the Pillow Talk. As you can see, they're pretty much identical again. So this is the Makeup Revolution and this is the Pillow Talk. So as you can see, all three lipsticks are basically exactly the same. When they're on your lips, you're not really going to tell much of a difference at all. I would say if you're wanting more of a complete similar match, I would go for the L'Oreal over the Makeup Revolution, just because the L'Oreal one is a matte lipstick, which is what the original Charlotte Tilbury formula is. It's a matte lipstick, whereas the Revolution one is more of a creamy, glossy formula. So it's not going to have the same appearance on the lips as Pillow Talk, because Pillow Talk is a matte and the Makeup Revolution one is slightly more glossy. So the formula is more similar on the L'Oreal one. So that's the one that I'm going to be applying on my lips today. So I'm going to start off by doing the Charlotte Tilbury side first. Let me zoom you in. Right, so that is what Pillow Talk looks like applied. This is the L'Oreal one going on now. Pebbles! So that is what the two look like together. This is L'Oreal, this is Pillow Talk. I mean, if you ask me, I wouldn't even be able to really tell that I've got two different colour lipsticks on. I'd say this one is slightly deeper, this one is slightly more orangey, corally toned, but other than that, they are pretty much exactly identical. You're not really going to find a better match than that. Right, I'm going to move on to blusher now really quick, and then I'm just going to go straight on to eyes. I'm just going to quickly whiz through the blusher, just in case anyone wanted the blusher but couldn't get their hands on it. So I'm just going to start off by showing you the Pillow Talk blush. This is what the Pillow Talk blush looks like. As you can see, Charlotte Tilbury's blushes have a slightly different shade in the centre and then a slightly deeper shade on the outside, which is something that I couldn't really mimic in the drugstore. Not a lot of drugstore brands do things like this. In fact, I don't really think a lot of other brands in general do stuff like this. This is a very Charlotte Tilbury thing to do, but to be honest, I always swirl the two colours together. It's supposed to be a swish and pop situation where you're supposed to put the outside colour on kind of like more of your cheek and then the inside colour just on the centre, but I think that's personally a bit of a gimmick and I just mix them all together and put it all over the cheeks. So the blusher that I found that was most similar is actually from a Nip and Fab palette. So this is the blusher palette in the shade 01 Blushed. which is such an inventive name. I don't know who came up with that. Genius. So actually the most similar shade that I could find in my collection and in the drugstore was this shade here. I'm going to put them together so that you can see. So this is what they look like together. To be honest, they look very identical when they're on the skin. They don't really look that similar here because obviously the Charlotte Tilbury one has got the centre bit and this one doesn't. But when you see them on the skin, they pretty much look exactly the same. So the Nip and Fab palette retails for around £12, I believe, and the Charlotte Tilbury blushes are £30. So you're getting 4 blushes for £12 in here, whereas you're getting 1 blush in the Charlotte Tilbury ones for £30. First of all, go in with the Charlotte Tilbury side and use the Charlotte Tilbury blusher. So I'm just going to sort of dab my brush all in, tap off the excess. I will say I do really like this blush. I use it a lot because it's kind of like a muted pink. I don't really like too bright blushes on me. I don't think they suit me. But I definitely don't think it's anything that incredibly special that you can't really find like matches for. I'm trying to put a lot on so that you guys can actually see it, because in the mirror it looks like I've put loads of blush on, but in the viewfinder it doesn't look like I've put anything on. So I hope you can see that. I literally look ridiculous in my mirror, but on camera it looks alright. So that is what the Pillow Talk blush looks like on the cheeks. I'm just going to go in with this one from the Nip and Fab palette. I'm going to turn the brush over so that we're not mixing. Focus camera. I'd actually go as far to say that the Nip and Fab one is slightly more pigmented and you get slightly more colour out of it. The Charlotte Tilbury one, you have to build it up a little bit more, whereas this one is going on quite easily. I have actually put a little bit too much of this one on, so I'm just going to blend it out with a bit of powder. So this is what it looks like on camera. This is Charlotte Tilbury, this is the dupe. So to be honest, with blushes, I don't really think you need to spend that much money on them. That is one product that I would say you don't really need to spend that much money. To be honest with you, I can never really tell the difference between drugstore and high-end blushers. I can with bronzers, because with bronzers it's a little bit difficult to get the colour right. Some sort of more inexpensive brands tend to go more orangey or grey with their bronzers, whereas high-end ones, colour wise, tends to be a little bit better. But with blushers, I would definitely recommend saving your money and actually just buying like something like this, like the palette is much more better value and it will last you a lot longer as well, as opposed to like the Charlotte Tilbury ones. I don't really think that they're something that you necessarily need to spend £30 on. Right, so now I'm going to go on to the eyeshadow. So I'm going to first of all show you the Pillow Talk palette. I'm sure you've all seen it before. If you've clicked on this video, then you would have seen it before anyway. But this is what it looks like. So as you can see, it's a very sort of muted pink natural palette. We've got this highlight shade in the top corner, then we've got more of a muted baby pink crease shade, a sort of more deeper, slightly more brown pink shade, and then this one here is the pop shade, which is what I found most hard to duplicate because not a lot of brands do a similar eyeshadow formula to this that Charlotte Tilbury does. So this one was the hardest one to find a duplicate for, and this is kind of like a pinky gold glittery colour. This actually looks more pink, but it's got a lot of gold running through it, so I'm going to swatch this shade so that you can see. I did try my best to get as near to this pop shade as I possibly could, but as I said, it is quite a hard one to copy, so I don't think it's going to be an exact match. So that is what the pop shade looks like swatched. It doesn't really do it justice on camera, it's a lot more glittery in real life, but these pop shades are designed to be layered on top of other eyeshadows, so they're not actually supposed to be the most pigmented thing in the world anyway. Now the palette that I managed to find that looked the most similar to the Pillow Talk palette and had the most similar shades is actually from Lottie London, and I did really try hard with this, guys. I literally walked around Boots and Superdrug for a really long time trying to find the most perfect match, but this one was the most perfect that I could find. As I said, it's from Lottie London. It's their Shadow Swatch palette in the shade Rose Gold. If you had seen my recent makeup haul video, then you would have seen quite a few of these products in that video as well. But yeah, this is what the palette looks like. So as you can see, it's got very similar tones to what the Pillow Talk palette has. So this shade here is the shade that I thought was most similar to the pop shade from the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and then this shade, and this shade are very, very similar to the ones in the actual palette. There's someone at the door, BRB. Sorry guys, I just had to answer the door. Guess where this is from? Charlotte Tilbury. More Charlotte Tilbury products on the way. Oh, I'm out of breath from running upstairs. Okay, I'm just trying to show you, this is really hard to hold these palettes up and not get them sort of funny in the light, but I thought that this shade looked very similar to this shade, and this shade looked very similar to this shade from the Pillow Talk palette. Please excuse my nails, by the way. I know that they're so bad, I need to redo them. So then this shade was the most similar to the pop shade. I'm sorry, I can't really hold these up very well, but you guys get the idea. This was the most similar palette that I could find in the drugstore anyway, so I'm just going to swatch what shade I thought looked most like the pop shade. To be honest with you, they're not really that similar. As you can see, this one is a little bit more gold, which is the actual original Pillow Talk one. But I'm just going to mix in a little bit of the sort of goldy shade, which is a couple doors down from the other one, and see what we get. Okay, so I think that's the most similar that we're going to get. I mixed together two shades to get this shade. This one is Pillow Talk, this one is Lottie London. As I said to you, Charlotte Tilbury's eyeshadow formula is very, very hard to duplicate with any brand, whether it be high-end or drugstore. That eyeshadow formula that she has in there, that the pop shade, I haven't seen anything like it from any other brand. The most similar that I've probably seen is maybe Huda Beauty, where she does those sort of foiled ones, but to be honest with you, even those aren't exactly the same. So it's a very unique formula. It's very hard to duplicate, so I'm sorry that it's not a perfect match, but honestly this was the best that I found, and I scoured the whole drugstore, Boots and Superdrug, so I was in there for a while, let me tell you. So I'm just going to get straight on and apply it to my eyes. So I'm going to use two different brushes for two different eyes. So I'm going to be using this one for the Charlotte Tilbury and this one for the Lottie London. So I'm first of all going to go in with this shade here, which is the pale pink sort of transition shade. Let me zoom in, and I'm just going to take this on a Morphe M505 and I'm just going to pop that in the crease. I forgot to mention as well, the Charlotte Tilbury palette retailed for £39 and the Lottie London retails for £10. So you get, in the Lottie London one, you do get 12 shades, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury one you only get 4, so obviously value for money is better with the Lottie London one for sure. In the Lottie London palette, I'm going to be taking this shade here, which is the most similar to the Charlotte Tilbury pale pink that we just used, and I'm going to be taking this on a different Morphe brush so that the brush is completely clean, and we're going to see if these look similar or not. Okay, just straight off the bat, the Lottie London one is definitely more cool toned and pale than the Charlotte Tilbury one. In fact, it's not really showing up too much on my eye, it's not really that pigmented. Okay, what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to go in with this shade here, which is next door to the first shade in from the palette, and I'm going to put that in my crease instead. I think this one is going to be a little bit more pigmented. So as you can see, they don't look completely similar. This one is definitely more of a kind of light brown, and then this one is more of a cool toned pink. Right now on the Charlotte Tilbury side, I'm going to go in with this shade here, which is the darker, more sort of smoky transition shade, and just deepen up the outer crease with this. So as you can see, when I'm applying this eyeshadow, it's nothing really that spectacular. I mean, it's pretty and it's nice, but you're paying basically £10 per shade in this palette, and I just think it's a little bit overpriced for these shades because they're not really anything that spectacular. They are hard to dupe, I will give her that. They are very unique and hard colours to find dupes for, especially more inexpensive ones, but they're nothing really revolutionary, like you need to run out and buy this palette instantly, because it's very, very natural on my eye. And like I said, you could find very, very similar things in other palettes. Even like the Urban Decay Naked 3 has very similar shades to this. So I'm now going to go in to this shade here from the Lottie London palette, and I'm just going to pop that in my crease. So yeah, this palette is definitely more cool tone as opposed to warm than the Charlotte Tilbury one, and they're definitely not as pigmented, but you're definitely going to get a similar sort of effect on the eyes, that kind of pinky, romantic, natural look. I'm just mixing in, I'll show you in a second what I'm doing, but I'm just mixing in a little bit of that goldy colour to make it a little bit more warm. Now what I'm going to do is go in with the Charlotte Tilbury pop shade on the Charlotte Tilbury side. So as you can see, this shade is very, very unique. This is what shade I personally think the palette is worth buying for. I'm going to go in with the shade that is most similar to that in the Lottie London palette. So this is what the two eyes look like. This is Pillow Talk, this is Lottie London. As you can see, Lottie London is definitely more pink and cool toned as opposed to the Charlotte Tilbury, which is more warm and a little bit more glittery. The eyeshadow palettes in particular aren't perfect matches, but dupes are just products which are very similar to the real thing. So if you're on a budget, this is going to give you a very, very similar effect, and you're going to get 12 shades for less than 1/4 of what the Charlotte Tilbury palette is. So yeah, so I'm just going to pop a bit of mascara on off camera, and then I'm going to come back so that we can see the finished look. Right guys, I'm back. I've just popped a little bit of mascara and a little bit of highlighter on so that we can see what the finished look looks like. And as you can see, they're very, very similar on both sides. Obviously the lipstick is probably the most close match, if I'm being honest. Same with the blusher, you can't really tell a difference, especially in person. They look very, very similar on the skin. Eyeshadow definitely wasn't spot on, but I do definitely think that you can still get a very, very similar effect from the Pillow Talk palette, from the palettes like I showed, the Lottie London one, and also like if you have the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette, which I actually have here, which I will show you. As you can see as well, this has very, very similar shades in it to the Pillow Talk one. If you enjoyed this video, please do let me know, because I am thinking of making another dupes video for Charlotte Tilbury, more so focused on her lipsticks and her other sort of best-selling products. So if you would be interested in that, let me know in the comments, and also give this video a thumbs up so that I know to film that video for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.